Hi, it's Gregory Bufidis. I'm here at LawTech Brussels, Europe. It's day one, and we have as our next guest Rob Moody, who is the head of Forensic Data Services. Rob, thank you very much for joining us. Let me start out with this. You've just finished a fabulous panel, lots of information about forensics, mobile forensics, etc., probably more mobile forensics. If you were a member of that audience, or you were able to stop that audience as they were leaving, what would you hope is the main thing they took away from that panel?
Thank you, Greg. I believe the number one takeaway would be the pitfalls surrounding bring your own device and choose your own device issues. Companies that are instituting the BYOD, bring your own device, and choose your own device, CYOD policies are really opening themselves up to a plethora of problems, usually surrounding the need of protecting their information, privacy issues, and then policing that information when employees are leaving or during an investigation. Suddenly companies are faced with looking into the ways in which their employees are computing outside of the company and having to look into devices, not only the current devices that the employees use, but the device that they used last year and the year before.
So let me ask you this then. What is your biggest challenge collecting off of a mobile device?
The biggest challenge we face in mobile device collection is the identification of the total mobile devices in the possession of our person of interest. We begin all investigations or all collection efforts in identifying our targets, and then from there building a list of devices associated with those targets. It's common for people to have 3, 4, even 5 mobile devices that could be subject to collection. Emails are now instantly delivered between tablet, phone, other types of devices. So it's easy for the devices to have different variations of collections that need to be performed.
So don't you find the collection of mobile devices in an international setting, a cross-border setting, so to speak, much more challenging?
Absolutely. The challenges really expand because of privacy reasons, other regulatory concerns, the need for data to remain within the country that we're finding the data in. It really adds a level of complexity to those problems. The actual forensics part is fairly straightforward. The technologies which we employ work globally. We can grab a cell phone or tablet in Tokyo as well as London or Miami. The bigger challenges really face the attorneys and the corporate entities, and that they need to deal with the regulatory concerns of the country.
I mean, obviously, I learned from the panel and from all of our discussions previous to the panel that you have an amazing wealth of information, forensic knowledge, and as does your company. So could you just spend a few minutes and tell us a little bit more about your personal background and what your company does?
Sure. Personally, my background really begins with the fact that from an educational standpoint, I have an accounting and a legal background with degrees in both from U.S. universities. From a experience standpoint, I've worked with multinational firms and large regional firms, and I pretty much have been deployed everywhere you can imagine around the world on cases, either supporting investigations or whatever. From about 8 years ago, I formed Forensic Data Services with the idea of forming a computer forensic firm specializing in digital investigations. We're 25 investigators. We deploy pretty much around the world, attacking everything from hacking investigations for financial institutions, government entities, legal processes. We've worked for government agencies, both the U.S. government as well as other governments. Pretty much if there's a computer chip and a power cord involved, we probably have been involved at some point.
you have this unbelievable wealth of information, but you actually have some of the most incredible stories. And there's so many to choose from, but let's just pick one, which is my favorite. And that's the one involving the vampire clips and the howling monkeys.
Okay. All right. Well, several years back, I was the lead investigator on an IP theft case, and I found myself in the middle of the Central American jungle. As part of my assignment, I had to check out a particular satellite tower, and we were trying to establish if someone had tapped into the data feed to determine, to basically steal the data. The good news is that in checking out the tower, we actually found that someone had tapped into line with some vampire clips and was pulling the data out through a separate feed, and we were able to do that. The funnier story, though, is that as part of the process, it was a Sunday night. I'm climbing the tower, just doing a physical check, and I get high enough in the tower that I clear the canopy of the jungle. It's a full moon, and all the howler monkeys are looking for a date. Just about then, my cell phone rings, and it turns out that I had finally gotten a signal for the first time in about a week, and my managing partner had called me and had a couple questions for me and asked me to turn the television down because the nature channel I was watching was clearly too loud. I explained to him that, one, he had no idea where I was, and two, that it wasn't a television channel, it was howler monkeys, and I really wasn't willing to do what was necessary to quiet them down.
Clearly, one of my favorite stories you've told. Anyway, it's been a busy session for you, a busy agenda here at the conference, and I really appreciate you taking the time with us to do this video clip.
Thank you, Greg. I've enjoyed myself.